Hello crafters, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel where I share handmade card ideas, tips, and tricks to help you be inspired. In this video, I'll show you how to stretch your glimmer plates using the partial foiling technique. I will be using two similar but slightly different products from Spellbinders, the Especially For You Glimmer Plate and Thanks a Million Glimmer Plate. The first one is a part of a regular Spellbinders release, and it is available anywhere where Spellbinders is sold. The latter is the Spellbinders May 2020 Glimmer Hot Foil Kit of the month, and that is available exclusively on the Spellbinders website. I have both of these products linked in the video description below, along with other products I'm using today, in case you'd like to check them out. Here's the large thanks plate. I love how big it is and how easily it takes center stage on a card. Here's the card I made using this plate in a regular way, and the way that it was intended to be used. While I have already foiled it several times as is, I also wanted to stretch this glimmer plate and foil it horizontally. Here's the card I did for Spellbinders, and you might have already seen it if you follow Spellbinders on social media. I foiled the word thanks so that it spawns across a long, skinny card. This is not hard to do, it just requires a little bit of selective foiling, and I'll show you how to do that in this video. I've started with a sheet of white cardstock cut to about 4 1/4 by 8.5 inches. I will trim this panel down later, but for now, I prefer to use a larger piece of paper. Before I do any foiling, I want to create a colorful background for my card using inks. If you plan to do any inking and foiling, it is best to ink the paper first and foil later, as the ink blending tool or whichever tool you plan to use to apply the ink onto the paper might damage the foil and it might lift it off the paper. Of course, you can simply foil on white or colored cardstock or even patterned paper and skip this step altogether. Both of the projects I'm sharing today feature a rather colorful background, so I thought I would show you how the backgrounds were made. I have, in fact, shared this technique on my YouTube channel previously. I call it Abstract Backgrounds Using Ink Pads. I have that original video linked right here in the cards. Be sure to watch it for more tips on how to make these backgrounds. The idea basically is to use your ink pad and direct-to-paper application to add ink onto the paper to create an abstract-looking print. I prefer to use dye inks for this technique, and my favorite inks are from Simon Says Stamp and Hero Arts. For this particular background, I used soft yellow, soft vanilla, butter bar, pink to red ombre, and soft pink. And all of these are inks from Hero Arts. And like I said, these are dye inks. A word of caution, this might damage your ink pads if you're too vigorous with your ink application. I had the top layer curl a little bit on one or two of the ink pads that I was using, but it's not something that will prevent me from using the ink pads again in the future, especially for stamping. But still, this is something that I wanted to mention. With the backgrounds like this created, or if you do an ink blended background, do set it aside and let the ink dry. I have found that hot foil likes to stick to wet ink, so it is best to let the ink dry before you do any foiling. Now comes the horizontal foiling. There are two ways to do this. Easier way, but you'll need to trim your panel down significantly. And the second method, which is a little bit more difficult, but still doable, gives you a better result, I think. And I'll show you both in this video. Now, the idea is to foil this plate 3 times, so you foil each row once. For the For You card, I foiled it 2 times, each row once. Place your glimmer plate on your background, centered, and you don't need to measure anything, just eyeball it. Next, use a ruler and a pencil to add guidelines to where you need to place the letters to create a horizontally foiled word. You'll need to do this for either method to be able to align your plate. And I just use the spaces in between the letters, that solid space, on my plate as a guide to add pencil lines. my pencil lines are very indistinct, and I'm not sure if you can see them on video, but they are there and I can see them when I align my plate. Next, use my hinge method to tape the glimmer plate in place. I've shared this method many times in my previous glimmer videos on my YouTube channel, and I'll link one here for you to check it out. The hinge method is basically creating a hinge using low-tech tape to be able to tape the plate in place, flip it away from the paper, add foil, and flip it back into place. This ensures correct or exact, precise placement. I'm using pink foil for this background. I've cut it slightly larger than the area I want to foil. I've placed it onto the paper and added another piece of low-tech tape to secure everything in place. Next, I brought my Glimmer Hot Foil machine. Now, I had my machine on as I was using it in a non-conventional way. I was using it to dry my inked backgrounds. Here is one of the backgrounds that was drying. This is actually that inked background that we made at the beginning of this video. And using Glimmer to dry backgrounds is very helpful as it not only gets rid of the moisture, but it also helps to keep the paper flat. The paper would curl up otherwise. If you want to use your Glimmer machine like that, you just need to add another piece of paper over your background so that that paper helps to remove the moisture from your background piece. Next, I followed my Glimmer machine instructions and I foiled this piece. Here's what it looks like. I foiled the letters A-N. Because I did not cut my foil precisely to size, it also foiled parts of the letters above and below it. With the second method, you'll need to cut your foil exactly to size so that you only foil the letters that you need. Next, I used the pencil lines on my paper and positioned the letters KS, so the third row on my panel. I taped it down using my hinge method, added the foil and another piece of low-tech tape to secure everything in place. And I foiled it. Here's what it looks like. So now we have ANKS, and just missing the first two letters of the word thanks. In case you're new to the Spellbinders and their clubs, the Glimmer Hot Foil Kit of the month, that is that Thanks Glimmer plate, that is a subscription club. It is a membership available from the Spellbinders website only. The subscription is $22.50 per month, and US shipping is included in the cost. Every month, there is a new Glimmer plate set delivered to your door, along with loads of inspiration from Spellbinders. If you enjoy foiling, you will enjoy these kits as the designs are always fresh and trendy. I don't share projects with these kits every month here on my YouTube channel, but I do try and create fun cards using these products whenever I can find the time. What's awesome about Spellbinders clubs is you can join and cancel anytime. There's no minimum commitment, and you can also skip up to 5 times. So if there's a set or a design during a particular month that you don't like, you can hit skip and just skip that particular design for that month. Again, I use the grid lines on my panel, align the plate, use washi tape to create the hinge, and notice how I'm not adding washi tape over already foiled pieces. You don't want to place your washi tape over something that's already been foiled because washi tape will lift some of that foil off your background. So just be mindful of that and make sure you place the washi tape where there's no foil. So create the hinge, add the foil, use another piece of low-tech tape, and foil the last 2 letters to complete the word thanks. And here's the result. It looks really nice. Now, my placement wasn't 100% perfect, but I don't think that it is very noticeable on this piece. The next step is to trim down the panel and cut away any excess foiling. This gives you a horizontal foiled thanks on a pretty colorful background or any background that you decide to use. From here, you can add this panel onto another background and use it on a card. And this is how I created that card for Spellbinders that you might have already seen. Now, let me show you this one more time, but this time we will step it up a little bit and we will foil just the letters to spell thanks without any excess foiling. So we won't be trimming our panel down. The key here is to cut your foil exactly to size so that it only covers the part of the glimmer plate that you want to foil. Here you can see me measuring the foil and making sure it is cut perfectly to size. It only matters that you cut it to size for the middle row, and you can have your foil slightly larger for the top and the bottom rows as you'll be able to adjust the placement. Tape your plate in place using low-tack tape. Use a pencil and a ruler to add guidelines to your background to help you align the plate and foil the rest of the letters. Next, tape the plate using the Hinge Method. Add your foil to the middle row, making sure it is not overlapping the top or bottom row, and using another piece of low-tack tape, tape it in place. And then, of course, foil. I'm not going to show you the foiling part again. Just follow your machine instructions. And here is what it looks like. We were able to foil just the letters AN and didn't foil anything else. So no overfoiling here, no excess foiling, I should say. Next, position the plate on the background using the pencil lines as your guide. Tape the plate in place. Slide your foil, making sure it does not overlap the letters from the middle row. This is the trickiest part. Foil is hard to cut to a specific size, so this is something that might take you the longest actually. Again, take it to your Glimmer machine and foil. Here's what it looks like. We have the first 4 letters foiled. All that's left now is to foil the letters K and S. Again, you repeat the same steps. Position the plate on the panel using pencil lines as a guide. Now tape it in place using low-tack tape. Add your foil. Make sure it does not overlap the letters in the middle row. Use another piece of low-tack tape to tape everything down. And again, foil in your Glimmer Hot Foil system. And here is our horizontal foiled word complete. I honestly love how it turned out, and it was well worth the effort. I also love that colorful background, and I think that it really helps the foiling pop. This glimmer plate and the other glimmer plate I'm featuring in this video comes with additional skinny strip sentiments to add to the word thanks. And the other one obviously has other sentiments to go with the for you. For the thanks, you have several options. 1,000,000, for all you do, you are the best, and for your kindness. I picked one that reads for your kindness for this card. There are also glimmer plates to foil a flower and a leaf, and also coordinating dies. I have foiled all of these off camera already. And by the way, the flowers and leaves are identical for both of these glimmer plates, for the thanks and the for you. So if you get both of these sets, you'll get extra pieces and you'll be able to foil the flowers and the leaves faster. And also die cut the pieces as well. I'm going to assemble my card now. To adhere the foiled piece to the card base, I've cut 4 layers of scrap cardstock slightly smaller than my foiled panel, and I used glue to adhere them together. In the past, I used to use fun foam for this, but I don't have any fun foam at the moment, and I do have loads, literally loads of scrap cardstock that I never use for anything, so I'm now using it to add dimension to my cards. We all have this cardstock in our stash. It's either an odd color or an odd texture, or it's too thin or too thick or whatever. You know, we have paper that's just sitting on our shelves, gathering dust. So this is the paper I'm using for this purpose. I've adhered my chipboard-like piece to the back of my panel and then to the card base. The card base is 8.5 inches by 4.25 inches, and the panel is 8 inches by 3.75 inches. Next, I assembled the flowers and leaves. I die cut additional flower layers from pink cardstock to go with the pink ink on the background. I used glue and foam adhesive squares and adhered my die cuts onto the card. Here's a look at the finished card. I really like the way it turned out. Once I was done, or I thought I was done, I decided to stamp a sub-sentiment above the foiling as I felt like that part of the card was a little bit empty. I stamped one that reads, "You are in my heart," and I used black ink for stamping this one. I did stamp it using my Misty stamping tool as I didn't want to risk messing up anything on my card, and the regular Misty accommodated this card size perfectly. I used metallic gold jewels from Pretty Pink Posh to dress up this card. I adore using these jewels on my projects lately. They add just the perfect amount of bling to my handmade cards. I scatter the jewels in between the florals and the foiled letters, and that finished my project. I did create another card using the same approach and technique, but using a different product. That especially for you, Glimmer Plate from Spellbinders, and here you can see this card up close. I hope you enjoyed this video and you will give this partial foiling a try. If you do, please share online and tag me. I love seeing what you guys are making. This video is a part of a blog hop by Spellbinders, and since it is a blog hop, there is a giveaway to be had. Head over to my blog to enter a giveaway to win $25 gift certificate to the Spellbinders store. If you're new here, do subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified about every new upload. Love you guys, and I'll see you next week.